Hi, this is Mike Torsha. Welcome to Live Well and Thrive. I have a very special guest, Ba Minuzzi.
Hi, Mike.
Welcome
Thank you
to
for
the show.
having me.
You're
Yes.
welcome. I remember meeting you in the gym,
Yeah.
Equinox over here on Sepulveda, and I was just impressed with how hard you work, how focused you are. You had the most stunning workout outfits. Beautiful. I mean, plus you look magnificent. But as I got to know you, I felt you have this beautiful energy. And then a very dear friend of mine, Frederico Lapenda,
Mhm.
he's from Brazil also.
Yeah, my fellow
And
Brazilian.
he just said so many beautiful things about you and shared with me about what you're doing with these wonderful products
Mhm.
and how you invest in only things that are safe and make a difference and protect our environment. And you're such a role model for women. And it was just International Women's Day. And you
Mhm.
had this beautiful speech that was so inspirational. I was like, I have to have you on the show.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. And it was. I love the synchronicity of life and just the fluidity, right? The way we met, the same. Like I was watching you at the gym. I was like, this guy has a special energy. And then suddenly, I barely know people at the gym. It's like it's you and two more, but the energies just find each other, right?
Yeah, it just one day, I said, I need to say something to you, you know?
And I was like a superhero
Oh my God.
jumpsuit. You're like, what is that? I was like, oh, that's my mood.
You look like you
today.
came out of a sci-fi movie. It was like Tron. It was black with these stripes, and it was like, holy shit. No, that was one hell of an outfit. But I mean, got my attention. But it triggered something, and
Mhm.
now here you are. So I'd like you to share how this all began. I mean, you're originally from Brazil.
Mhm.
How did you end up here? What was the reason you came here? And you have an adorable son. And so share with us, your story.
So I'll start by saying that today I operate through love, which it's more to the end than to the start. And I'm very proud of that because I started fighting. I started fighting the patriarchal system. Like my motivation would come from what I didn't understand it was anger, but it was like a lot of anger by how society works. But as a teenager, you just feels that things are wrong, but you don't know why and what, because culture-wise, Brazilians are very it's a patriarchal system, right? So I would see around a culture dominated by men, and men say how we do, how we manage our houses, how we live our lives, and on. And it's kind of a contrast because living here, a lot of people's like, Brazil, but like you were so free and warm. I was like, no, like we love carnival and we can be very sexual and it could be very vibrant with our bodies and on. That doesn't mean we understand equality, that we know our power and we know how to deal with it. And everyone gets so intrigued, like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's more like we use like they use your bodies, like you can see the femininity of a woman, but you don't really see their brains or like their true power. And as a woman there, I it was very confusing for me. I was like, oh, it seems like the path here is really just getting married and building a family and doing the same that my mom, my grandmom did, and that the parents of my friends seem to be doing, right? But it just never fitted me. And so it was like a hidden anger with society there and with the system that as I started like going out, especially as I started getting older and then a boyfriend, a fiance, like just men who wanted it wasn't protection. It's just like to shy you, like
To control you, right?
it's to control. Yeah.
Oh,
To
wow.
control you. And then it's like, oh, this doesn't feel right to me again. And I was already like very entrepreneurial. I started my first business when I was 15 and I started volunteer work when I was 13. So from like working at the hospital, already like fundraising for the hospital and volunteering there to go to selling t-shirts and then to becoming a fashion designer was very entrepreneurial and very unusual also. So I think it was like a big fight that I know it's endless. There's like so much women can be fighting. I prefer to have a different approach these days, which is really be myself through love, through light, through inspiring people that we can be feminine and masculine at the same time and thrive. But we should show up with more love and to serve and caring than complaining and pointing fingers.
So you took that anger and used it as fuel
Yes, it was a
and
big deal.
that driving force to go after what you wanted to accomplish.
Yes.
And stay away from anybody that would try to manipulate you, control you, and
tell what I needed to wear, because that's also like as we start navigating the very masculine investment world, which is where I was first a fashion designer, very feminine world, and then at age 20, I was like, no, I need to understand money. I want to have my freedom, and freedom for me was money. So I was like, how do I make money? How do I have my own independence, and then just go from there? And then you start working with these investment bankers and all these institutional players, and they want to tell you what to wear. It's like, oh, this feels too sexy. And it's not sexy at all. It's just maybe we're not wearing like the black pants and the white t-shirt. Maybe we're wearing yellow t-shirts. Like, oh, this doesn't fit in. Like maybe you want to adapt like to how we are. And I'm like, no, like we have 99 guys here, and I'm the only woman. I'll do whatever I want. But it was always like this tone of like, oh, you should do in a certain way so you can fit in. And I never wanted to fit in. And that's why I probably stand out and find my way.
I mean, that's the reason why that Barbie movie had such phenomenal, results.
Yes.
And has really made people think. If you think about it, men were controlling everything.
Yeah.
The way women would dress, how they would act, and they felt so subdued. So it was a chance for women to break out and have them be heard.
Yeah.
And I find that you went through that same thing. I was around the corporate world at one point because before I became this celebrity trainer or guru, whatever you want to call it, I was working with people in Wall Street in New York, because I lived in New York. And they had their blue suits, their dark gray suits, they had their black suits, and they had a certain look when they looked like Men in Black. They always look the same, And if I meet them for dinner, they'd say, "Hey, Mike, don't bring that Nike outfit. Do you have a jacket that'll fit your body?" Because I was very big at the time. They used to joke with me. I said, "Of course I do." But I know what you're saying. They're even trying to tell me how to dress, right? So I could relate to that, but they are very controlling. They control hundreds of millions, sometimes even billions worth of dollars. So they're used to that control of running everything. But I said, when you have your suit on, you have your suit of armor. But when you're in the gym with me, I'm the boss, okay? And it's true, because I tell you something, when they take the suit off and you look, they're a mess, they're like, wow, you look great as Superman. When you take it off, damn. Because
I love that.
they should get, the women have those Spanx. They should have some Spanx for men, because let me tell you something. Some of these powerful, these guys are worth billions.
Yeah.
And they're changing. I'm like, well, that money and your body looks like that. I'm like, man, we got to get you in shape, because you'd see them. But once they take that suit off, their tone and attitude change. It's amazing. Of course,
yeah.
Right?
It's their power.
So that, so with clothing, it changes. Like, but with me, when I go into the gym, I like black. I have that feel. I like that color. Or sometimes I like red. I feel like I'm a warrior in the gym. I need to defeat the weights. It can't beat me. I'm going to beat that machine. And I challenge myself all the time. So I feel like your outfits are so cool. But when you train, you fit that energy of the outfit, because it helps you with the outfit. It fits you, forms to your body. You can see in the mirror as you're training it that your hard work's paying off. Because if you draped it with sweats and whatever, you're not going to see it.
Yes.
I'm a visual person.
Me too.
So I like seeing it, right? So I understand it, and the value of color. Like the color you have today, it's absolutely beautiful. The contrast of the blue, and we talked about it.
I was like, let me see the color of the studio. It's like, okay.
No, but I smiled. I was at the gym when you did that task, and I just smiled because I go, of course, it'd be a woman doing that. And knowing you about outfits and stuff, I should have thought about that already,
It's very visual. Like, I care about aesthetics. I think it's served on my favorite, but it's interesting. Like, I like those things, I love restaurants more by their aesthetics than the food.
Yeah.
People like, really? I was like, yes, I love the vibration. I love the colors and on. I could care less about the food because I prefer eating at home because I think it's cleaner.
Sure. But what's so funny is, like, with restaurants, everybody's been talking about Cipriani, So I've gone there twice. It's very, very bright. It's loud, and they offer pillows if you ask because the chairs are very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, the food's great, but it's so bright. It's so loud. It doesn't have that warmth.
Mhm.
It lacks that. Like you go to Ubaldi, it's simple, beautiful food.
Mhm.
Nothing fancy, but it's kind of on the darker side. It's a little more cozier. You go to Via Loro, you go to some of the others, or Steak 48, very elegant, or you have a
Mhm.
private dining area, beautiful music, but not too loud. So I like the vibes, like you said.
Yes.
The food's great,
Mhm.
good too.
Yes.
But I know what you feel when you go into a space. You have to feel the energy. That's why I chose the studio, because
It's
it's all
beautiful. Yeah.
people writing music and singing and doing their demos.
Mhm.
All this creative energy helps feed us, fuel
Mhm.
us, right?
Mhm.
So now with what you're doing is you're almost like a motivational speaker, but also do you consider yourself a fundraiser? What would you describe if someone was to describe you? What would you say you are?
So the first thing I'm aware, like I wear many hats, but I would say I'm an impact investor. I think that's the best definition. So inside the investment asset class called venture capital, there's like impact investing. So there's private equity, which is broader. It goes until IPO, right? So to early stage to like late stage companies, but they're not listed, right? They're not public companies. That's private equity. Inside private equity, there's venture capital, which is this earlier stage. So like all these tech companies that we know, Uber, SpaceX, Tesla, Google, they were once an early stage company, like a tech early stage company that investors or like venture capitalists came to back to invest on them when they were mainly ideas, right? So there's like stages of investments for that, for venture capital. So like pre-seed, seed, Series A, B, C, D. These days goes until F, G, but I stay between pre-seed to Series A. So it's really like early stage companies when a founder has like this idea, this vision, and very few investors are willing to truly back them because risks are high. The same way, like the returns can be extremely satisfying. It will, like data says that only 20% of the investments of a venture capitalist will perform to pay the whole investment, right? So 80% will fail. So it's like not the best scenario. Like if you don't love uncertainty and if you don't love founders and entrepreneurship and on, I love. And then inside venture capital, there's like this group of folks that truly care about climate change, to care about the sustainable development goals created by United Nations. Like how can we play a part on this? How can we help humanity and nature and society like to move forward on a better way and more than sustainable, like regenerative, more grounded approach to investing, and that's what I do. Like that's, I know it's a lot because people barely know what is like private equity, venture capital.
Sure.
So the name we say for like people like I am, like it's an impact investor. And then besides investing my money and my LPs, which is like limited partners, like the investors that join like venture capital funds, I'm also the founder of UMANA, which is a family office. And a family office is like investment structure for people who created their money, and they created too much money that they can't manage on their own. So I decided to work with people who have influence in their industries instead of working with any person who created financial wealth. I was like, oh, there's people like celebrities, athletes, tech founders who have a lot of influence. And I believe that if they have someone that is grounded, that is actually like understanding their values and guiding them on how to better, I call it channeling your money, like how to better channel their money, they will be feeling a more fulfilled life instead of just accumulating more financial wealth and on. So at Umana, that's what I do. Like I first understand like a person's like Mike, like what are your values? Like what are the things that you care the most? Is it family? Is it health? Is it purpose? So like once I understand like your 5 top values and then there's another 5, so I go 10, I will hyper focus on the top 5. And out of that, I'll be creating like investment strategies, giving strategies for you based on that. And even like a lifestyle strategy. And that's why when you said a motivational speaker, it's just because I serve them and I care so much about their values and how we can show up better to the world by healing ourselves that it feels like I'm a motivational speaker because, like I'm motivating them, I'm motivating myself. Like I'm just putting like this good energy out there that I think it resonates to people. But more than that, like it feels like I'm on this high vibration, right, of motivating.
Now, how have people found you? Is it because the word of mouth?
Like God, like universe. Yeah, I've been lucky. It's like I work a lot, but I could be, in my own bubble without knowing anyone. It's exactly because I work a lot behind my desk. I could be quite isolated, and I was in San Francisco for 6 years. So even the fact that I suddenly started working with celebrities was really like, it was sent to me. I never really.
Well, you're working with Adrian from Entourage.
He was the first celebrity client, and that was and he's so aligned because he was working hard on understanding his values, on his own human flourishing. And then when we met, it was just like, wow, like you are what I've been envisioning as a client, and I'm here for you because you are what you need to like achieve.
But he actually lives the life.
He lives the life,
right?
Yeah.
He got out of L.A. He's in Texas or something.
Became a farmer.
I mean, that's beautiful,
it's
right?
Beautiful, like and wonderful father, wonderful husband, friend, like everything. And
the thing is, from knowing his character, Vince, from Entourage, he's nothing like that.
Yeah, it's a big contrast. Yeah,
and
it's funny because he has all this following and audience that loves Vince. So it's like, oh, but you are not like Vince, right?
Yeah, I love that though.
Yeah,
it's refreshing.
It's beautiful.
Because Vince was superficial.
Yeah, different times too. I don't know if it's that different, but I would hope that if Entourage existed today, the narrative would be so different because that wouldn't work these days.
Well, what's so funny is Rob Ellen, who owns the studio, his brother Doug Ellen created the show, and he created another version of it, but it's totally different because of all the changes, Me Too, and all these other things.
Yeah.
But so far they can't sell the show because it's not the same magical formula, that craziness that we could get away with years ago. Now you can't. But I want to get back to the investments. This really intrigues me because the biggest thing I find is people with startup companies just can't get that seed capital. And they're beautiful products. Like with me being in the fitness industry, I have people reaching out to me that have most amazing products that are safe for the environment, safe for children, not toxic ingredients, and wonderful, wonderful products. But they don't have the seed. I mean, they have enough where they have the product, but they don't have enough to fulfill orders.
Yes.
And they're at the mercy of like people that are scoundrels that want to gouge them on high interest rate to get their dream to come true, but they basically have to give up their whole company to be able to get it. And I refuse to do that. So I've been working with different groups that like you, that will consider startup companies because it's like being on the ground floor of Apple or Uber. If it hits for a minimal amount of money, you could possibly make a huge successful business that's doing like impactful, good for society, good for the environment. So I'm on that same page. I mean, I do investments for real estate deals, or I do film investment, people that have projects, they have attached the actors, they have the director, but they've only had enough money to secure the talent. Now they need the money to actually make the movie.
Yes.
So which makes it easier for me because it's not like I have a lookbook and said, well, if they're available, because most of the time the actor's not available or they may not like the script. So I do the investment thing on the side too because of all the high net worth people I've worked with over the years with my concierge service. But I always find that there's so many beautiful people I've met and I feel for them because they're ignored because people don't give a crap if it's impactful or not. How much money am I going to make from this? How much are you going to give away to this deal for me to be able to get into this deal? So I always tell them, I said, don't give it away. Give it time. We'll find someone that understands the value of these products that you've created, this company that you've created, because I don't like people that will just take it and just take their dream away and not care. And then who knows, later on they'll sacrifice the ingredients, change things around. you know, there's a reason they created this company because they find out, oh, well, it's cheaper if we use these ingredients or use this material, so that I could see is a lot of work, even though sometimes, making calls and meetings, but then all of a sudden you got to make sure you haven't created a monster. So now, how have you been able to accumulate this? I mean, coming from Brazil to here, is it just a matter of time evolving, people learning about you, that you're able to get this pool of home offices? And how did you become, because you're inspiring women and they're going to want to maybe do the same thing. How did you be able to do this, get this machine going?
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of hard work, but it's alignment. What you were saying about how you were talking to the founders, like wait, and there will be one that aligns with you, that sees what you're building, what you are creating is special for that person. I think it's the same, like the more you work on something with deep meaning, the more you stay consistent on like your true purpose. You work hard, you bring like a team that is in alignment with like the vision, things come to you, and of course, there's like endless challenges. Like I had turnover, I had investors that in the beginning I didn't like, but I wanted the capital, so I wasn't as aligned as it is today. I was like, oh, I want to invest, and to invest, I need to raise money, and I might not like this person's approach to life, but whatever, it's money. It's something I wouldn't do today, but it was worth
And
it,
you get it started,
And
right?
actually, like, they are great people. I was more judgmental in my early days of my career, and I think I had my own biases. So they helped me, They were the people who believed in me as an investor, and actually, they're a very important part of my story. But I feel like alignment grows with consistency, with like hard work and with purpose. And I think that's my journey. I think I never focused on money in my entire life. Even when I knew my goal was financial freedom, I knew I needed the money to be free. But I wanted to do things with meaning, like when I went to real estate investing was like low income houses, when Brazil had first started that, that was very important to me. I was like, oh, people can now buy their first home, instead of living in favelas. Then in fashion was like also like sustainable textiles, like organic linen and on. So it was like everything had meaning for me from the beginning. And I think and I don't know if it's for everyone. People have different energies and vibrations. Like that's mine. And the more I'm aligned with my meaning in life, my purpose, more great things happen. I'm pretty sure if I start denying what I truly am, what I'm here for, things will fall apart,
Yeah, so you're aligned with the universe and it's bringing
Yeah.
you all these opportunities. And no, that's great.
Yeah.
I got my hat off to you. Seriously, you really work hard and you make time with your son. I saw the other
Yeah.
day at the park, and he's on the slide and having fun. So I love the fact that no matter how busy you are, your son is your priority.
Yeah.
And you always make time for him. He's so well behaved. He's such a wonderful.
He's wonderful. He sleeps with me and he wakes up and
Ah.
like this morning he was so special. I was like, morning, mama, I love you. And then he hugs and hugs. I'm like, oh my God, yes, please. And then he's just so happy. And I'm like, wow, this is so special. But it's about, I don't know if it's every kid, but I'm just so present with him. And even when I'm not, and even sometimes like 5 seconds, like I'm just getting the phone to see what time is it in the morning. And he's like, no phone, mom. And he hides. And I'm like, okay, no phone. And then we go play for 2 hours. And then we go back. Then
That's great.
I go back to work, and he learned Spanish too. So when I go to work, because the nanny tells him, like, oh, she's working. She's está trabajando. When he sees me that I'm like going out with my bag, and I work from home, but I go like downstairs, he's like, oh, mama trabajando, bye-bye. And I'm like,
my!
bye-bye.
And how old is he?
2.
Oh my God!
Baby still, but he's like, he gets it. I'm like, wow.
He's like an adult in a kid's body.
Yeah, he's wise. It's a wise boy that I have there. But I think having like balance in life, I remember not believing in balance until I was 30. I thought people were crazy to talk about balance. I thought this is so untrue, because we need to be intense. We need to be all in. If you're not all in, things don't work. And I do believe we need to be extremely intense. But I think there's phases of life. And if you find a way of balancing through life, you will have balance. I know my son is like family's top priority for me. So Ocean is my top priority. Everything else needs to fit in, but he's the number one. And before it wasn't, it was work. So everything was about work and everything else would fit in under that. But, and by being very intense, and some people would call that lack of balance, because yes, I'm putting more energy in one thing, but I'm aware that it's through a plan. There's like a roadmap, and here's like how I balance it.
When is your birthday?
August 6th. I'm a Leo.
Oh, because I'm a Virgo and you sound like me.
I sound like a Virgo. Yeah.
I was like,
my astrologer tells me that I was a Virgo past life, so I came ready for this one. I'm like, okay, good.
You remind me of myself so much. I mean, I open my refrigerator and every bottle is aligned. My spice cabinet, it's like a chef's kitchen.
I'm like
every spice
People
is
open, they're like, oh my God, it's so organized. What do I do here? I was like, no, it's okay. They're like, are you sure? And then as soon as they put wrong, they leave us like, no, like let me.
Now, my brother, when he comes over, well, I have the 3-day rule. That's it. 3 days, it's it. Going on. Right? Drives me crazy. So he likes to cook too. I said, Vic, the garlic powder goes here, the onion powder goes there, the parsley goes there, the basil goes there. What are you doing? Oh God, you're still the same since you were a kid. I used to do the same thing.
That's amazing.
But I'm so organized because when I'm cooking, I don't even look. I know what I'm grabbing.
Yes.
Because I don't do measurements. I know from the eye.
It makes life so much easier. People take it for granted. Like, you know where things are. Like, and it's just easy. Even when you're traveling and out, you can just tell where it is. It's so efficient,
And there's nothing like home cooked food too. Come on.
Yes. You need to come cook one of these days. Just not the kitchen and my home. Like, will be.
You know what's so much fun to me? Going with someone to the market and like, what would you like? Would you like a piece of fish? Would you like steak? Would you like chicken? Or would you like maybe start with an appetizer like shrimp or clams or something? And then get your vegetables and get your bread and your bottle of wine, And then you go and you clean everything and you cook it. And I just remember just recently, I was biting into the food and I saw her biting into the food. And that expression on her face. And I was like, we did it. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
To me, that's the most romantic thing. Listen, I understand
Yes.
getting dressed up and going to a lovely romantic restaurant. But when two people are in harmony and you go shopping together and you do it together and you take that first bite, there's something magical about it. And that's why when I was a kid, I was so glad that my grandmother grabbed my hand and said, Miguel, you need to know how to cook. And I'm going to show you what to do. And I'm like, okay, Grandma. She goes, because women today, they don't know how to cook. So when you find the woman of your dream, you're going to teach her how to cook. I go, Grandma, I'm 8 years old. It's going to be a while before I get married. She says, you need to prepare young. This is a Sicilian grandmother, 8 years old. She wanted me to make sure I learn how to cook so my future wife knows how to cook, right? Well, listen, I got to thank you. This was fun. Really fun. And I want you to come back and tell us what else you have coming on and doing in your life. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. This was beautiful.
Well, thank you for watching Live Well and Thrive. And please subscribe. We can use your support. Thank you.